Hello all and welcome to another session of Pragati Vichar Literature Festival's Authors Marathon. Today our theme for the day is fiction hidden realities and the second theme we are having today is beyond the page where fiction meets fact. Let me introduce you to the wonderful panelists I'm having today. First on the panel we are having Krupa ji who is appearing for the book Unmoved which is a translation of Tamil novel by Usha. Krupa ji is a writer based in Chennai. She is the author of a novel What We Know About Her and a narrative non-fiction book, Rivers Remember. Thank you so much, Krupaji, for joining us today. Next on the panel, we are having Deepak Rana, who is the author of Kashmir's Travel in India. So he traded the logic of engineering for the romance of storytelling, leaving behind a career at Deloitte to become a writer. Now he lives in mountains and writes novels, short stories, and essays, mostly to amuse readers and confuse literary critics. Thank you so much, Deepak ji, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, so with that, let's dive into the question answers round. And first question for the day is, fiction often uncovers truths that reality keeps hidden. So, what is one hidden reality you consciously try to bring to light through your writing? There's always fan theories, there's always speculation. I can definitely remember my time watching Marvel movies. When we were just thinking basically what's going to happen into the next part. There are several fan theories happening, and sometimes it actually becomes a reality. So, what is your inputs into this? Let's start with Krupa first.
Right. I think in both my translations and in my own work of fiction, what I'm trying to actually reconcile with is, the things that I'm not able to process in the real life, the things that I see, the things that I hear. I think the things that I'm not able to make sense of often ends up and I find that even in the work that I've translated, that this is true, that people are trying to process the world, the randomness of the world, the fact that we've just been thrown in here and anything can happen to us. And and I think all writing is trying to in some way make sense of the randomness of life, and we're trying to find the order in this randomness. And for me, that is the sort of hidden mystery. I mean, life itself is a sort of, which is why I'm very happy with this question, because life, we really don't know what all of us are doing here, right? And what lies
Definitely.
beyond this for us. And so, in this brief time that we are together, we're all trying to make meaning, and we're all trying to, and art, what a great way to make meaning of life, right? So that's pretty much what I think about this.
Definitely. Deepak ji, your inputs into this.
Well, I feel reality itself is quite layered, and what art does is, and especially what literature does is allows us to unravel those layers, and we can see different layers of reality. So I think art, in that sense, is a wonderful tool to unravel those layers, and we can get beyond the more objective level of reality that we see around us, and then we can get to the subjectivities of it. Just like this conversation we are having, you and I and Krupa. In this case, we each one of us is having a different subjective experience, and I think that's where fiction is very important. We in the objective world, we are having this conversation, three of us sitting in one place. That's the objectivity of it, but the subjectivity would be very different for each one of us. One of us would be laughing, one of us might be having a serious time. So it brings out that subjective element of the individual. That's something I enjoy.
Hmm. A follow-up question from my end would be, what do you enjoy into the particular fiction genre? Like, is it the world building? Is it the character setting? What do you enjoy the most when it comes to fiction? So, Krupa, what would be your favorite thing?
Actually, usually people ask me what genre do I like? Do I like fiction or non-fiction or translation? And I end up getting away by just saying fiction. But now you ask me what do I like in fiction itself? Actually, recently, one of the things that I've been having fun with is naming my characters. And I put my gym instructor in my new novel, and she has been very happy about it. She's been walking around telling everybody that I put a doctor friend in another novel. This is the whimsy of the fact that you can sort of borrow from life freely and then bring a smile to somebody else's day. I think, and this is just us trying to pretend to play God, right? Just like I like all of the playfulness and the joy that I get to experience. After all, what are we doing? We are making up a world, and we are inviting people into that world, and this is what children crave. And we are just grown up children trying to bring out the child in other people to play with us. And I quite really like the idea of, just asking somebody to come join me in this game. And I feel like fiction allows me to do that.
Definitely. By the way, my name is Aditya, and I would love to be in one of your novels.
Okay,
Perfect. And,
perfect,
yeah.
perfect segue. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Deepak, what about you?
I really enjoy being able to say things which I'm not able to say in real life, or let's say as a in non-fiction. And when you make a character, and character is allowed then to say certain things. For example, if I were to say Donald Trump is a stupid man, I cannot say that. A lot of people might get offended. A lot of people might object to it. But if I just say there was a politician, orange-haired man who acted like children, who was stubborn, people get the sense who I'm talking about, but I'm not really saying it. And I think that element of
Right.
fiction, I really enjoy being able to say things without really saying it. That I find really amazing.
Yeah, very nice. So with that, let's move to the next question. So, blending real experiences with imagination can be challenging. So how do you decide which real life elements belong in your fiction and which ones are, better left between the lines? So, simply put, when you're drawing it from your imagination or from your real life, how do you process which element to bring into your novel and which to, just not at all? So yeah, Krupa.
Mhm. Actually, here I'd like to, talk about Unmode, the book that I translated. I had a chat with the author herself, and she did tell me that a lot of the events that happened to the three women protagonists of Unmode are actually various stories that she collected while she lived in the Gulf, to especially Indian diaspora workers, women workers who go there to work in various roles. And these are actually, events that have happened to various people across time, which she had been collecting over the years, and then she had been reflecting about it as a woman herself. And she hadn't really, you don't really hear much about the migrant workers who go to the Gulf, who are women, especially from South India, and what their life experiences are like. And so she decided to put the whole thing down together as a novel. And so I found that, her ability to draw all of these experience, and then with great empathy for all of her characters, without stereotyping, without painting them in broad strokes, the author was able to bring all of that into fiction, that came from her lived experience, the fact that she was there in the Gulf seeing all of these people. So I think I'd like to draw attention to that when I speak about Unmode. And in my own work, drawing from reality is something that I like to sort of place a curtain on. And I don't really like to reveal what parts of it are actually real and what parts of it are actually, because that spoils the illusion of fiction itself. But it's sort of, I'd like to think of my own fiction writing as reality adjacent. It could have happened to somebody, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't. You'll never know. The secret will die with me. So that's what uh, my answer is.
Deepak, your inputs.
In my case, a couple of things I want to mention. One is uh, I'm I'm somebody who doesn't rely too much on my memory. So what I do is I make a lot of notes wherever I go. I do a lot of research and I note down everything. Every day I maintain a journal and I try to observe people, make observations, note down what they're writing, what they're saying, everything. So I have a lot of piles of books of content in that sense. And then finally, when it gets to the script, I go by intuition how much of that piles of content that I have, how much of that I can use in a story. So that depends really the needs of the plot and how much of the content, how much of the elements I can use from there. So that is kind of the ammunition that I have. But I would say that once, even if you get inspiration from real life, even if you're using certain characters as it is in the story, once you put them on the book, inside the book, once you make a character out of it, it's a different person altogether. And that person or that character grows by themselves. So once they are translated onto the book, they have no relation to the person they are inspired from. Then they grow, then they just, according to our own imagination, according to the story they are in, then they grow by that, within that framework. So then it's a part of the story, not a part of the real world anymore. So yeah.
Really strong insight. So, basically today's readers, they crave authenticity and emotional truth. So, how do you balance personal truth with creative freedom when writing about sensitive or complex social themes? Krupa?
Hmm. I think it's actually um, one of the one of the main objectives of writing is to actually bring out the truth and to be honest and in some level, right? And I think when we sit down to write, uh, of course there's a lot of fun and there's whimsy and all of those things at play, but also we're all trying to reach out to some kind of truth, as the question also implies. And I think when that translates, it reaches the reader. I feel when your intent translates, when your intention to be bring out some form of an authenticity, the an emotional truth, or some form of vulnerability that a character is facing, I think it can come through. But the challenge is actually in convincing your reader to enter your world and to sort of see the truth through your character's point of view. And if you can convince even one person of the emotional truth of your character, then I think that's pretty much a success. And that is the challenge of fiction, that to convince that this is a person whose emotions you're reading. I was just reading a translation of Manoj Rupada's I Named My Sister Silence, uh, translated by Hansda Savendra Shekhar from the Santali into from it's basically from Hindi into English, and I found that it was I could completely empathize with the character, and I was able to completely. It was as if I was in the middle of a forest watching an elephant die, which happens in the first couple of pages of the book. And I think that's what really powerful fiction can achieve. It can transport you, even if you're in a bustling metropolis, into the heart of a jungle, and you can be standing in front of a dead elephant, just confronting. I mean, what an image to confront, right? Yeah.
Definitely. Deepak, your inputs into this?
So one thing is I agree with Krupa is the more authentic you get, and this relates to some a writing advice I got many years ago, which was that the more specific you get, and in this case, as Krupa mentioned, the more authentic you get, the more generalized it becomes. That's the kind of contradiction in it. The more specific you get in terms of your narrative, the more get into the specificities, the more people are able to relate with it. So that's one element of it. You have to be very authentic. You have to be very specific. The second thing that I find interesting in this case is when we write is another writing advice that I got from a very famous author. So the advice that I got was that when we are creating a story, we are basically taking our reader into a dream, and we should not focus too much on the elements of it. We should not focus too much on the tools through which we are taking the reader into the dream, but more about the reality of that dream. So that the focus should solely be on the connection, that emotional connection we are building with the reader. Once me and my reader are able to connect at an emotional level, then everything else, the writing style, the language used, the grammar, the words, phrases, all of that, reader is not going to focus on that. Reader is purely in that state where they are seeing a dream and they are witnessing that reality. So once our focus as writers should be solely on that, to be able to connect with them at emotional level. And I think for that, the first thing that Krupa said was the authenticity that matters. And second, our aim as writers should be on creating that dream-like situation for them, so that they feel they are in some kind of reality, some kind of artificial reality, and they are a part of it. Then that emotional truth becomes more sensitive, makes more sense that way.
Definitely. So with that, we are having the last general question, basically the last common question. Then we would be diving into the individual question round. So we are having basically in a world overflowing with information. So why do you think fiction still remains one of the most powerful ways to understand human truth, Rupa?
Hmm. I think this idea that real life is real, fiction constantly challenges that, right? The fact that you think something is real and then suddenly you find out that you didn't even know about something. Every time a new truth is revealed to you, the world feels like fiction. And I think in a lot of my own fiction as well, these are the kind of things I'm trying to process. You think the world is a certain way, and then the world shifts and the world is no longer that way, right? And I think fiction sort of captures this feeling of, oh my god, what just happened, that sort of feeling that we are constantly grappling with in real life. In fact, I think real life has so many more events that are illogical and completely random, that there's more order in fiction, and there is more sort of logic and all of that in our own stories. And I think in some way all of the things we ascribe to real life are actually in fiction, and all of the things we ascribe to fiction are in real life, right? And both feed into each other. So that's my answer.
Deepak, your inputs?
Once again, I agree with Krupa. I think it's a fantastic question to ask how much of reality is real, and whether you and I or Krupa, are we real or not? Do we exist or not? Is this an illusion? Are we in a matrix? Am I dreaming? Is this all a dream? All of these possibilities that exist about the reality itself, we can explore through fiction. And fiction gives you that kind of space where you can explore all these questions about finding out what the truth of reality is, which I think it's never going to be one truth, but we can, as I said in the beginning, we can explore different layers of reality. And that should be the ultimate purpose of fiction, exploring those layers of reality and exploring the reality itself.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for such wonderful insight. So, Deepak, my question to you would be basically, your journey from engineering to mountain life to bibliotherapy is uniquely non-linear. So, how has this path shaped the hidden emotional insights you bring into your storytelling?
I think as writers, whatever experience we go through, whatever it's irrespective of whether I was once upon a time an engineer, then a corporate employee, and then a writer now, or a bibliotherapist. Every experience that I've had, or this interaction I'm having with you, everything shapes us as writers, and that kind of personality or that experience gets added into our writings. So, irrespective of where we come from, what I try to focus on is have a lot of different experiences so that I can be sensitive to different topics, different ideas, and I can have broad range of understanding or knowledge so that I can bring that into my writing. For that, what I do is two things. One, I read a variety of books from past, present, all kinds of writers, good, bad, even in the sense that writers I genuinely don't like that much, but I try to read them so that there is something from to be learned from there. And second, I talk to a lot of people and try to learn from their experience, what kind of experiences they've had, and I think that also adds different kind of flavor to your writing. So that's
Hmm.
that's what I do.
Definitely. Yeah, so Krupa, your writing blends memory, history, and personal narrative. So, what hidden layers of identity or, intergenerational truth do you feel most compelled to explore through fiction?
Yeah, I think intergenerational truth is actually a really interesting way of putting what I've been doing with my own fiction. In both my novels, it's the question of what the relationship between a mother and a daughter, and then in my other novel also, it's a relationship between a mother and a daughter and a son. And I think in some ways, in my fiction, what I'm looking for is, as I said, a way to reconcile with the real world, a way to understand uh, the real world, and also what exactly are we inheriting as sons and daughters from our grandparents and our parents, and what exactly, apart from the trauma, that intergenerational trauma that is passed on to us, apart from that, what else are we inheriting? What kind of a world are we being thrown into? How do we make sense of this world when a generation leaves us and then we are left with, as we age, and then our parents age, and then we become parents, and so I guess at every stage of my life, whether when I was a daughter, when I was a mother, when I am a mother now, and then when I look at my own mother and my relationship with her, these interpersonal relationships and the kind of inherent tensions. Can you be a good mother and also a good writer? These are the kind of questions I'm trying to, also answer through my work now. And these are very difficult questions for me. Because anytime I try to be a good writer, I feel like a bad mother, and anytime I try to be a successful mother, I fail at being that. And so I try to bring all of this with some levity and a little bit of empathy into my characters, and see them and process them. And I think fiction in that way, to be a little bit cliched, has also been like my own way of therapizing myself, sort of trying to make sense of who I am, and my own identity crisis.
Hmm. Wonderful. So with that, we are at the end of the session. Thank
I
you
just
so much,
wanted to
Deepak.
also say thank you for the wonderful questions, Aditya, but also Deepak. I really enjoyed your answers. I thought they were very insightful. I didn't expect to enjoy this conversation so much. So I just wanted to say thank you to both of you.
Thank you, Krupa, to you also, because I towards the end of it, I kind of agreed with everything you were saying. So I found it difficult to add anything to it, and I would like to, stay connected with you. So yeah,
Definitely. Yes, we'll take
yeah,
this mutual
Definitely.
admiration club
yeah.
forward. Yes, for sure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Perfect. And thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you so much, Rupa. And before
thank
signing
you.
off, any message that you want to relay to fellow authors, to fellow readers, and to the viewers, now would be the right time.
Oh, please read a
Here's the
lot.
book, and here's the book. Get it.
Get his book. Yes. I don't have a copy with me, so get his book, but get mine also.
Get both of the author's book, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Krupa, Deepak,
Thank
I
you.
thoroughly enjoyed the conversation and to the wonderful insights shared by both of you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.